It may be cold outside, but egg education is red hot. More than cows, plows, and sows, FFA celebrates career and technical education and all of the possibilities for young people looking at careers on and off the farm.
And I love FFA. My favorite part about being an FFA is all of the connections.
Straight ahead, we celebrate FFA Week here on Grow. Plus, we head to the Classic, the big cattle sale bringing folks from across the region to Kearney. And we highlight an upcoming event, the Sorghum Symposium, what you can learn about this ancient grain. Celebrating FFA at the Classic, it's time to grow. Federal layoffs hit a government research farm in central Nebraska. I'm Steve White. Several sources tell us scientists who work with cattle and pigs are out of a job with confusion about what happens next. Even when the snow flies, the U.S. Meat Animal Research Center is in operation. 365 days a year, a team raises cattle, pigs, and sheep with the goal of improving production practices. Now, multiple sources tell us several scientists have been fired, raising concerns from the Nebraska cattlemen.
The largest research center of its kind in the world, and we just can't emphasize how important the work they do there is for the beef cattle industry. They've been revolutionary on so many things the scientists there are working on. And so it certainly is a concern for us to hear some of the statements about people being let go.
President Donald Trump recently announced plans to shrink the federal workforce. And specifically at the Department of Agriculture, the agency said it is, quote, pursuing an aggressive plan to optimize its workforce by eliminating positions that are no longer necessary, bringing its workforce back to the office, and relocating employees out of the national capital region into our nation's heartland to allow our rural communities to flourish, end quote. In the case of USMARC, the facility has tens of thousands of acres and livestock on site.
They've done work on bovine respiratory disease. They've done things that reduce sudden beef cattle deaths due to congenital heart failure, dramatically improved traditional food tests for salmonella, so we know that we're having safe products, improvements to heifer fertility, which is hugely important to production operations, and of course, leading the evaluation of beef cattle and feed efficiency and the work they're doing there.
We're told layoffs were directed at probationary employees. For more than 60 years, the Meat Animal Research Center has carried out long-running research on cattle genetics.
Pretty incredible.
It was seen as a positive that a key Republican would visit. Now Congress will be hearing from Nebraskans concerned with cuts.
Nebraska is the #1 beef exporting state in the nation, and we feel very, very tied to USMARC, but the center is about more than just Nebraska. It's really a revolutionary place for beef cattle research in the world.
The University of Nebraska provides the operations staff that cares for the animals, but the long-term viability of the center is now in question. A research farm that has helped develop cattle breeds, now commonplace in a state known the world over for its beef.
The industry would definitely not be what it is today without the work they've done there.
Reaction now from Senator Pete Ricketts.
First of all, I've long been a supporter of the research done at the Meat Animal Research Center. The livestock industry is our state's single largest industry. I am investigating the actions that were taken there. I don't have a specific answer with regard to how many people have been laid off. Know that I will always advocate for Nebraska and our agricultural industry because that's what drives our economy.
A USDA spokesman confirms the department is firing probationary employees. Meanwhile, one university researcher tells us they've lost collaborators, creating questions about ongoing projects. Congressman Adrian Smith says the center drives innovation, which echoes comments from the Nebraska cattlemen, which has said the work is vital. Prior to cuts, USMARC had 120 federal employees and another 120 university employees tackling issues like mapping the cattle genome while providing new tools to test for salmonella and improving feed and reproductive efficiency, two areas of improvement for cattle producers. The average age of the American farmer would be near retirement age in many industries, so there's a need for young people to fill important roles. It's showtime. And while some of the nation's best cattle are on the market,
It's gonna be a good day.
a new generation steps into the job market.
I'm gonna major in animal science.
Now I want to go into embryology and reproductive, so.
With some of the top companies in the cattle world present at the Classic, the director of the long-running cattle show is intentional about giving kids opportunities.
Building the next generation.
That's crucial in an industry with an aging workforce. The average farmer is 58. And as the labor market tightens, innovation opens doors for young people.
We've heard about the tractor that can drive itself, and so now it's time to learn about the technology in the beef industry that really can, technology that can be placed on bulls so you can track those bulls 24/7.
This blend of tradition and technology resonates in egg-based communities, with 218 FFA chapters involving more than 12,000 Nebraska kids who are much more than future farmers.
Hey, ag is not just cows, sows, and plows. It's so much more than that.
Some of Sheridan Spotech students come from traditional farm backgrounds, but many don't.
My dad grew up in California on the Bay, so he's probably never seen so many cows in his life.
1 in 4 jobs in Nebraska is ag-related, and young people are needed in fields like animal health and agronomy.
While we do need the 1% to feed the 100%, we still need everybody else that feeds into that as well.
And our friends at KRVN helping us celebrate FFA Week.
I'm Alex Makovica, and joining us today is Alan Barnes. He's the Elmwood Murdoch FFA advisor and the ag instructor there. In your first year teaching ag education, but Alan, you were saying this is not your first year in teaching, and it's in a new chapter. So tell us about this new transition and new beginnings.
Yeah, so transitioning from a 7th grade science role, was a former teacher in Gretna Public Schools for 6 years. And my wife and I are both Elmwood Murdoch alumni, and we live in Murdoch. And I had heard that the school board finally voted to, pass the addition of an Ag Ed FFA program, and thought that was awesome, but never thought anything of it until the position kind of was open. And everybody knows in Ag Ed there's minimal applicants or not that many going in. And so I got to looking at it and realized this could be a transition, with my biology endorsement and being able to add some classes, and applied, and luckily got the position, and here we are. So hitting the ground running this last August and transitioning into being this ag ed role. So learning lots this year, first year.
Alan, first year for Elmwood Murdoch to have a program like this. How has it gone so far?
Pretty good. I think in August kind of showed us, like with our enrollment, participation in classes, and then even the FFA side kind of blew us away, but it's going really good. FFA side of things, kids were able to go out to Husker Harvest Days on a trip. This year, we had a local agronomy day put on with some other local FFA chapters hosted by one of our producers in our district. And then on the FFA competition side of things, we saw some pretty big success this first year. Land judging team, we went and participated in our district, the East Central land judging competition, and our team took first out of the district, qualified us for state up at Norfolk, and our team placed second at state. So that was a big shock.
Much more from the Classic still to come, and throughout the show highlighting Nebraska FFA, there's a shout out from one of our favorite ag teachers in all of Nebraska, Mr. Dave Ferentz of Ord High School.
Giving a salute to the National FFA Week and all of our members, along with our farmers and ranchers, that no matter how cold or how hot it is, they always go out and treat their animals with respect and dignity, and a lot of times feeding their animals before they feed themselves. Thank you, farmers, ranchers. FFA members, have a great week. Give you a little demonstration of how cold it is out here, and you can see just how bad it really is when do not try this at home. It's very interesting. Ready? Here we go. There, she turned to steam. And thank you once again, Board FFA and the rest of the FFA chapters. Congratulations on a great week.
Sorghum is an ancient grain, but it certainly has future potential. And here to talk more about that is Christine Dvorak Jamieson, Executive Director of Nebraska Sorghum. Sorghum Symposium coming up right here at Raising Nebraska.
Yeah, so on March 12th, we have a very good event that will have all things sorghum. We'll be discussing different things from 45Z, getting agronomy updates, and then an update from National as well. So it'll be all things sorghum.
So you're having a day-long event here at Raising Nebraska. Are people going to want to go online and register, and they can probably find out more there as well, right?
Yes, the best way to register is through our website. It's on the homepage at the bottom or under the events tab. If you could register ahead of time, that way we know what to prepare for food, but the event is free to attend, and we encourage everybody that can attend to be there because there'll be a lot of good conversations.
Certainly we hear a lot in the state about corn and soybeans, and those are great, folks. But on the sorghum side, is there a lot of interest, and do you think there's some good topics that you guys will be discussing that day?
Yes, there will definitely be a lot of very good topics. We're going to cover something that's kind of new to the space, which is human consumption. That's increasing in demand quite a bit. And then 45Z has become a very big thing for sorghum. It's an incentive to have sorghum in ethanol plants, basically.
Yeah, it's that next kind of generation of biofuels, and kind of, do you see some potential for the industry to develop that direction?
Oh yes, definitely, especially with the low CI score and everything that's becoming kind of a big deal. Sorghum fits great in that space, so I think that'll be huge for the future of sorghum as well.
And you mentioned too, but human consumption as a gluten-free grain, is that part of the interest in maybe incorporating sorghum and sorghum flour, or into maybe some different recipes and kind of that consumer market?
Yeah, sorghum flour is a huge thing because of it being gluten-free. And then also I'm seeing more companies that are popping sorghum because it's a great alternative for popcorn. And then also every day there's a new sorghum product coming out. It's increasing in baby foods quite a bit because of how good it is for you. And so that's just very exciting to see the growth within the human consumption area too.
And just agronomically, I think sorghum makes a lot of sense in a producer's operation. Do you just see, even in those terms, in terms of crop rotations and something maybe in a drier year and all those kinds of things where sorghum maybe just makes some sense?
Yeah, sorghum is a great option. Sometimes it depends on what you're putting into it, but it can be a good alternative for lower production, and you still get a pretty good income from it as well.
And we should point out for folks, you're not new to this. You've grown up on a farm that's grown sorghum for a long time, right?
Yes, sorghum was actually the only thing grown on my family farm up until my dad started farming, and then he introduced a crop rotation, and then my dad was on the sorghum board. I think he joined in about 2005, and then ever since then I've been involved in all things sorghum.
So Christine, let's rattle off some of the names, starting with State Ag Director Sherry Vinton and some other great folks, right?
Yeah, so we'll have Sherry Vinton, and then we'll have some folks from National, and then we'll also have Julie Bushnell.
She does the bioeconomy stuff for the governor.
Yep, and then we'll have some producers on a panel.
Mike Baker, probably.
Yep, exactly, Mike Baker. And then we will also have somebody from AgriAbility to come talk with us as well.
And combined event because it's also your annual banquet.
Yeah, after the conclusion of the symposium, we will have our annual appreciation banquet where we award different scholarships and recognize national winners for the yield contest and all good things sorghum that happen throughout the year.
Well, thanks, Christine. Make sure to go to nebraskasorghum.org to find out more. What a swing in temperatures from those bone-chilling colds. A warm-up coming up. Kyle's got our grow weather outlook next. Here's more now from Nebraska FFA members.
Hi, I'm Sadie Fortune. I'm president of the Kearney FFA chapter, and I love FFA because my SAEs taught me so much about agriculture and just a bunch of livestock opportunities that we've been given.
I'm Riley Codner, and I'm from the Wood River FFA chapter, and my favorite thing about FFA is all of the connections and relationships I've made with surrounding schools and the kids.
I'm Shane Kelly from the Kearney FFA chapter, and I love FFA because I love to compete in welding.
This week's drop monitor that came out this past Thursday morning that really cold morning it was, and it actually has improved some here the last week, so good to see that really over Nebraska and Kansas. Get a closer look now at the state of Kansas, where no drought now stands roughly 34% of the state there, which means abnormally dry. It means about almost the other 2/3, i.e. 66% of the state in that category. Both of those categories about a 1.5% improvement compared to last week's report. Moderate drought still stands about 21.5%. Again, just a slight improvement compared to last week. Still no severe, extreme, or exceptional drought across Kansas, although things not looking nearly as good in Nebraska. However, we did see some improvements here. No drought now stands roughly, actually approximately 1.61%. Abnormally dry about 98 1/3%. Both those actually about a 1.25% improvement compared to last week's report. So good to see that improving, especially across the southeast part of the state. Moderate drought still about 90 3/4%, a slight improvement compared to last week. And severe drought up to about 47 7/5% there. We get a slight improvement there as well. Otherwise, extreme drought 8.36%, which is about the same compared to last week, still over northwest parts of the state. March temperature outlook, and again, that was released this past week as well, looking pretty normal overall for most of really all Nebraska, most of Kansas, minus the southwestern part of Kansas. We're expecting a little bit warmer temperatures compared to normal. Precipitation-wise, looking relatively normal precipitation values for Nebraska, most of Kansas, minus the southwesternmost part, where it could indeed be a little bit drier. Next 3 months, those temperature outlooks were released as well. Pretty average for really all of Nebraska and almost all of Kansas, or minus the southwesternmost sliver there. Could be expecting a little bit above normal temperatures. Otherwise, precipitation in the next 3 months not looking nearly as favorable. Looking at relatively below normal precipitation values for a good chunk of Nebraska and Kansas. Eastern parts of both Nebraska and Kansas may be closer to normal. Your Grow Almanac here for the week. We got a normal high right around 44 this time of year. A normal low stands around 22. And this week and last week could not be any more different. We're almost 50 degrees warmer with the week ahead average high at 60. And the week ahead average low at 33, almost 40 degrees warmer compared to last week. Certainly a nice turnaround compared to last week. And here is the week ahead, looking at temperatures in the 50s and 60s really all week long. Might see a slight chance of precipitation move in late Tuesday into Wednesday, but other than that, it looks relatively dry. Could be a little bit breezy at times, but overall looking fantastic here for us. And of course, our grow proverb kind of ties into this week, and of course, a nice change from last week. There's always one fine week in February. I think a lot can be said about that here this next week. Let us check your grow weather report. Stay tuned next week when once again it'll be time to grow.
Seeing those smiling faces of 4-H members from across Nebraska. You can send your photos in by going to Nebraska.tv and using the Chime In feature.
My name is Shantae Beavers. I'm from the Wood River FFA. My favorite part about being an FFA is being an officer and getting to teach kids about the FFA.
My name is Hudson Delaval. I'm a member of the Kearney FFA chapter, and I love FFA because of all the competitions that they provide and what those competitions actually mean to you and how much you learn from them.
Hi, my name is Dakota Green. I'm from Wood River, and my favorite thing about FFA is all the competitions and basically meeting a whole bunch of other people.
On fourth, I'm now 42, 50 number now fourth, I'm going to get 2.5 on them.
It may be cold outside, but the cattle sales are heating up at the Classic. Dick Holman's joining us. This event, 34 years, still going strong.
You bet, and we just want to keep it growing every year. We have the bull sale, boat show, we have a youth show, we have a judging contest, we have great sponsors here. There's a lot to look at.
Somebody texted me the other day and said, what are all these folks doing in Kearney pulling in livestock trailers? I said, it's the classic.
This is the largest sale and show multi-breed in the state. We have some great cattle here. It's good for commercial cattlemen. Come pick up a bull. Great place to buy a show heifer and 10 different breeds.
That's what I was just going to say. If you're heading to a junior national show or you want to do well at the county and state fair, you're looking for that special animal, this might be a place you might find that.
You bet. The National Junior Shorthorn Show is going to be in Grand Island this year, and we have 20-some shorthorns here that these guys came to bring heifers that will work in the National Junior Shorthorn Show.
Besides, if you've just got a commercial cattle operation and you're looking for some genetics to add to your operation, there again, this meets that need.
You know, these are some of the best cattle out of each herd. You know, this is a place for a person that doesn't necessarily have their own sale to showcase their cattle, compare them to the others, and we have a lot of really good cattle to pick from.
These are pretty good times in the cattle business. We're going to see some pretty significant sales happen to you here, do you suppose?
Oh, you bet. Prices are still going up. Supply is still short. Demand is high. And now's a great time to have cattle. We know it goes up and down. The key is stay in it for the long haul and enjoy these times and do the best you can in the other times. But overall, now is a super time. It's record high prices right now.
If somebody's got an animal to sell, what kind of top end, what kind of price might an animal bring today?
Well, there's not a limit. We won't hold it back. But the top end could be $20,000 today, really easy, $15,000 in there. I think we already hit $10,000 on the first animal, the first Hereford bull, and so it's just a good year for the cattle producers. The quality, the good ones really sell good.
I point that out to people because people might think, oh, it's just a livestock show, but we're talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars of business that will happen here today.
You bet. I think the Classic probably does a couple $1 million for the city of Kearney. They do a super job, and it takes a lot of work. And as a board member, we are glad that we have her.
There you go. Well, folks, that's the Classic in a nutshell. Come on out to the Buffalo County Fairgrounds. You'll have a good time, won't you?
Oh, you bet. Every day.
And we'll see you back here again next time as we see how agriculture makes Nebraska grow.